you who didn't take the hint about how long ago it was I was here, I taught plumbing and gas fitting and drain laying here in 1975 to 1982. And I'm probably the oldest person in the room, which is great. And Tony Delabarca, if he's not here, I salute him as one of the. Tony is here. G'day, Tony. He was here when I was here, but joined afterwards, so he's probably younger. The other thing I want to salute is I've read the abstracts and the contributions are varied, as Helen pointed out, and I'm sure that they'll be worthwhile for you as you consider teaching and learning. One of the introductions I read was by Ken Hodge, who said that when he was an apprentice, his plumbing teachers droned on and on and on. And so I'm not going to drone on and on and on, and I'll leave it to your imagination to know whether I was one of those teachers. The observant of you will realise there's a disconnect between your program and the title here. That's setting fire to the good oil. I thought that was a wonderful analogy, but apparently the health and safety people didn't like that, so it's changed. What I'm going to do is just ask some questions, basically. I'm not going to propound about educational theories or try and link in a clever way to what we do and what we are responses. I'm just going to ask some questions, and it seems to me that if you ask useful questions, you'll get useful answers. Some of the conversations that I've heard in staff rooms around the education system and the tertiary line have been, I'd really like to try X, and I think your teaching will be improved if you try doing X, provided it's ethical and safe, and the students get a very good deal. They start getting some variations. So those of you that leave today thinking, I wonder if I can do X, have a go. Since 1975, when I started teaching here, there's been a succession of answers to educational questions that rely on technology. And they have assumed to be the answer. Slide carousels, Tony Delabarca will remember those. They were the answer. The problem was the question wasn't quite right. Some of you have probably never seen one of those. That was a photograph that I took a couple of years ago, and that's an overhead projector. When I first started here, you had to sign for them. 2 people had to carry them. They were abused and used properly by some people. And look at this one, it's got a design feature. See there, that's cut away there, so the teacher can sit at the bottom with her or his legs underneath and not have to move around the classroom. So the point of putting that up is that are you prepared for the successive waves of technologies which are the answer? But ask yourself, what's the question if that is the answer? Our lives wouldn't be able to be lived if we didn't have habits. We have habits domestically, we have habits in our leisure time, and we have habits in our work. And what I'm asking you is to consider the habits of your teaching. What part of those habits should you change, if any? 2 examples that I came across quite early in my teaching career was I would come into the room and place my resources and stuff at the front, and I would be at the front. So one day I thought, this is odd, why haven't I gone to the back of the room? And so I progressed down to the back of the room, put the resources on the spare desk, and the atmosphere in the room changed. It was breaking the habits of what is normal. We seek novelty and we seek routine as part of what it is to be human. So ask yourself, what could you do differently? None of us are amoeba, none of us are bovine, none of us are Cro-Magnon man, but what we all do is we have a highly developed brain and a brain stem that enables us to think about thinking. So we're highly evolved, and what that enables us to do is solve problems. So, how much of your teaching is centred upon solving problems? We are innately good at solving problems. Early in 1976, still getting to grips with trying to be a teacher with very little and quite inadequate teacher training. One of the head department said to me, "How's it going?" "Oh, good and bad. Come and watch some of my staff teach in the automotive department. It's much easier to reflect on the processes of teaching if you're not bound up into the subject and starting to analyse whether the metal was meant to be 350 degrees or 400. So if you divorce yourself from the content, you can look at other people's teaching. And I found that very, very useful indeed. And again, today you'll hear about other people's techniques and you'll wonder, how can I adapt that to my teaching? I got out of teaching in the Polytechnic just at the right time, in my view, because unit standards were looming. And this question is about, have you been seduced by the false promises of unit standards? What they invited was to disaggregate complex tasks into a cheat sheet mentality. I know that a lot of people are now going back towards these types of assessments which are meaningful both to the trade, to industry, but more particularly to the students who are learning and being assessed. So that's a really important question, I believe. If you look at the cross in the middle of that diagram, what you should find is that that figure is starting to reverse. It will be lying to one side and then to another. So this is a very simple stimuli, and the point of this is that if in here you saw that changing at a different rate, what would be the case for a really complex stimuli that you're putting up and explaining to some people? So my question is about inclusivity. How can you make it interesting and relevant and comprehensible for all your learners? That incidentally works well if you just do it a drawing freehand on a whiteboard. It doesn't have to have parallel lines, and it's a really interesting phenomenon. Necker was a Belgian graphicist in the early 20th century. When I reflect back on the plumbing and gas fitting table, it was almost always a discussion about plumbing and gas fitting, about regulations, about strength of materials, about keeping things dry or wet as the case may be. Very little of it was about teaching. But it's my contention that you're paid exceedingly well now as teachers, and that ought to be the preoccupation for your discussions. Which leads me to say, if you don't consider yourself a teacher, then why not? Because that's what you're paid to do. And that your trade and discipline, specialties and knowledge and expertise is secondary to the task for teaching. So, in sponsoring this, it's my hope that you'll be able to answer some of those questions, and particularly this question, because it would be hopeless if you came along to this point and weren't able to do something differently when you go back to your workplace. Now, I look over at Ken Hodge, he's still awake, so that's good. Thank you again to the people who have made this possible, especially the presenters, and I look forward to attending some of these today and hope that this has set fire to your imagination